Hello, Homestead. Welcome to December. Believe it or not, here we are in December. We're just a couple weeks away from the end of the first semester, but this is the weekly video message for Friday, December 2nd, cold Friday, December 2nd. Again, continuing on, this is sort of the last of the November gratitude survey that I'm going to be putting out a new survey with this blast. So please continue to send in your shout outs and recognitions and suggestions, but I'll be doing that with a new survey, a December survey. But again, as our last survey has, who are you grateful for at HHS? We had a lot of good stuff turned in this time. So again, we wanted to give a shout out to our English learner staff. They organized an amazing annual Thanksgiving feast for our EL students. There was over 100 kids they served. And so these are all the folks that were involved in it: Grace Henson, Rocio Stavoli, Meow Carroll, Jessica Bai, Wilma Wu, Alana Karras, Peggy Sai, Jackie Fala, Carla Hernandez, Rosalie Walton, Michelle Uhara, and of course our wonderful ASB student EL commissioners. And we also want to thank PTSA for funding the whole thing with a staff grant. So thank you very much for your support. There was a shout out to Maya Bernicki. She is such an asset to the HHS community, very helpful and kind and knowledgeable to questions parents have on the HHS forum. Yeah, she's been a super involved parent, and we really appreciate her contributions to our campus. There was also just a shout out to our custodial staff. So they've been getting lots of notice recognition lately, so I appreciate that. One person sent in this whole big thing. It's pretty long. I'm not going to read every single thing in here, but maybe you want to pause and take a look. But they said that everybody deserves something deserves a heartfelt thank you. They shouted out some of our admin team, Dean Wynn, that's Anthony Wynn, Terry Hannigan, and Susan Rocha. You can kind of see that this person really relied on some of our admin team for some support of their students. And Mr. Wynn getting emergency call late at night and helping out with that. Ms. Hannigan help over the years. Ms. Rocha giving some attention to the student. There was a shout out to Miss Uhara Fan, and who is one of our math teachers, and to Mr. Almendarez, who's an English teacher. Again, you can see the great stuff there. A shout out for John Byrne and staff there regarding the music department. A little shout out to me, so thank you for that. And again, bunch to the whole Homestead staff. So hopefully you pause there and get a chance to read a lot of the great stuff, because that's some pretty nice stuff that was written there. So thank you, whoever put that in. What are you grateful for at home? So these are sort of like programs and events and activities that we think deserve, or that you think deserve, gets a shout out. So these are the ones that were mentioned in this last round of submissions. It was the marching band, clubs such as Math and Science Bowl, and our Safe Route to Schools program. So again, all three great things. And so thank you for recognizing those. What would you be grateful for? These are sort of some suggestions, questions, or concerns kind of things that come up. Again, we've definitely had this rolling theme here talking about custodians and keeping the bathrooms clean. And this person said, would hope that everyone contributes to the cleanliness of the bathrooms. Custodial staff can only do so much during school hours. Help keep it nice for your fellow students. I agree. Thank you for that. And that's hopefully something that we can do. This person said they would love to have more help with college and career planning. And I think that's a universal, no matter how much help's out there, there doesn't ever seem to be enough. Should be done earlier on. We do a lot of events throughout the year. Again, the focus is on the juniors and seniors, because clearly those are the ones that are getting closer to that time. But if you haven't been to our Homestead High School College and Career Center webpage, please do. And these are just a couple screenshots. There's a ton of stuff on there. There's a virtual College and Career Center. There's all sorts of different things that you can click on. You can make an appointment there by clicking on the QR code there. I wanted to point out this particular screen over here, where if you're a freshman or sophomore parent, you can click on some of these things and see what some of activities are, things that you can be thinking about. Please listen for announcements, or look at our website for upcoming events. I know the PTSA is having a college speaker coming up on Monday. So again, lots of good things going on out there. But we hear you. I've passed this on to our College and Career Center. But also please make sure you're checking out the website there, because you might find a lot of great resources at your fingertips. Big long question here, which I go and answer, kind of break apart in a minute, but I put the whole thing on here. So as it says, as far as I'm aware, a lot of classes in Homestead, such as language classes, are extremely overfilled and past capacity. This relates why a lot of people did not get their requested 7th class this year. For example, someone I know in their French class has over 35 students in one L building classroom. What will be done to resolve this in the next few years? I understand that the problem is rather tricky considering declining enrollment and that students and parents alike want new courses to be added. Speaking of new courses being added, I really like to see AP Language and AP Computer Science principles added. Just saying this so you know that there is interest in the school. And again, oops, passed right through it. So let me kind of break this one down because it's a big one. So many of our classes are overfilled or past capacity. That is not exactly true. Because what happens, we are full. Let me give you that. I mean, that's why I'm saying it's not exactly true. We are definitely full in a lot of our classes. There's no room to add more people. And so we do have very strict ratios that we have to follow and adhere to in terms of working with the union, working with class sizes, working with, just the HVAC capacities in the room. So there's a lot of things we have to look at. We can't overstuff a classroom, because it could become a safety issue, become a union issue. And we actually have to turn in reports every week that kind of say, here's where our classes are, here's the problem, here we're going to fix this. And we've actually had to fix a few classes this year that were staying at overcapacity. And so we actually added some sections in terms of some of our other support classes. But basically, we have, at the 40th day, we turn in a report saying, this is where we are, and the union and the district sit down and go through that. And we were all within appropriate ratios. So yes, classes are full. Yes, classes are hard to get into, but that does not mean that we were overstuffed and that kind of thing. Now, it is a little bit tricky when you get down to language classes, because as you get through the language levels and get to those last couple levels, we do try to get as many kids in there as possible. And so we might be pushing some of those ratios. It might be feeling rather full, but it's because we don't want a kid who's taken, say, French for 3 years to not get French 4 or French 3. Because they're like, oh yeah, there's one extra kid or two extra kids. So there's a natural attrition as you start to go from 3 sections of French to 2 sections of French 2 to 1 section of French 3. So it is a juggling match. So yes, some of our language classes again are full, but they're all within ratio. This is why we aren't getting 7th period classes. Again, not exactly true. You're not getting 7th period classes because classes are full, and so they're not because they're over full. But basically, the how we look at this is every student is guaranteed at least 6 classes. Now, some seniors may only have 5 classes because they don't need 6 classes. But again, if they wanted a 6th class, they could have one. You only get a 7th class if space is available, or if you're in a special program. There are some folks that, like in AVID or music or in some other classes, that maybe have an IEP that need that will automatically get a 7th. But yeah, there is no guarantee that you get a 7th class. So if you say, oh, I'm going to sign up for all these classes and I'm going to put, Java is my 7th period, or I'm going to put, AP, something is my 7th period. Yeah, those classes may be full and you're not going to get into it. It's not because they're over full. So not technically true. What will be done to resolve this? Now, again, what happens when with declining enrollment is there's a basic ratio that says, okay, you have this many students, that means you need this many classes, and it's based on all the class size ratios, and there's different class size ratios. Some of our freshmen, English or algebra classes tend to have smaller class size ratios so that you can have more support in there, whereas some of our more advanced classes may have bigger ratios, or a PE class has a big ratio because there's outside and there's more space. So they take all that into consideration and come up with a number. And so that number is given to us, and we have to then build our sections and build our schedule out of what is given to us. So again, if kids sign up for a class, great. We want to try and get kids and fill up classes. We don't want to have a bunch of half empty classes, because that's not an effective use of the schedule. It's not an effective use of our finances in terms of how to support and like the number of teachers we're paying for and the number of classrooms we're using, that kind of thing. So again, what will happen is we will do our best to give you your first choices. If we don't have first choices, we'll go to second choices. Again, there's no guarantee that you'll get a 6th class, no matter whether we have more enrollment or less enrollment. So that's just a roll of the dice. And one thing that people think about is like, well, if I add a new class, say AP Language or AP, Computer Science, then they'll give us more sections. And actually, that's not true. What happens is we have to then, within that section, so let's say you have X amount of students, so it means we have 350 sections to deal with. Well, when you add more classes, and it starts to do a natural competition with some of the other courses. And what ends up happening is a course could get eliminated because you're adding another course. So we don't want to make that kind of competition. So we try to add classes when it's sex neutral, meaning it isn't going to impact other sources. So like when we lost auto shop because we didn't have enough kids signing up for it, we had, it normally took 2 to 3 sections of our schedule. And when that went away, we were able to say, you know what, let's add in engineering courses, because we can put those engineering courses where the auto shop courses were. So that was a section neutral. If we had added engineering in without having something else naturally go away, it would have started to compete with something, and something would have died. And that's how we start to see things where, we used to have German, and German has gone away, right? Or we used to have culinary, so those things have gone away. So again, our schedule is driven by student choice. And again, just adding classes doesn't mean there's going to be more, means there's more choices, but it also may mean that it may actually cause another elective class to go away. So it's a big, long explanation for that. But I hope that kind of gives you some of the answers for that one. Want to throw out another message about the game Assassins, about Orbeez guns and water guns. This thing never seems to go away. It's kind of a pain in the rear, but I want to make sure I talked about this one a couple of weeks back. But we are hearing rumors that the students are trying to organize another Assassins game. This is a game where it's been playing for years, since I was in high school. And it's a kind of all over the country. It's not local to just us. But basically it's what it sounds like. You have targets that you're supposed to go after, and you try to hunt that person down, and you eliminate them from the game, and the last person standing is the winner. Again, they use Nerf guns or Orbeez guns or water pistols or spoons or all sorts of different ways to do this. But again, this thing is not a school sponsored, nor is it condoned by the school. There's lots of issues with this game. So there's if you just Google it, you'll start to find that there's been all sorts of bad things that have happened, not only here in our district, but in other districts. So we do not condone it. If we start to hear about it, we will be handing out consequences, because it has, and people have gotten hurt. They've gotten, in other places, people have gotten killed. We've even had school go into lockdown one time because the kid was walking around with a toy gun, but person didn't realize it was a toy gun. So there's lots of things that cause this to be a problem. And kids have lost privileges. They've gotten into trouble with this. So please do not allow your students to play this. Parents also want you to understand that sometimes the parents are kind of helping organize, and they're like collecting the money, or they're putting forth, the credit card for the website that they're using or whatever. And again, in some cases, those parents have been held liable, not by the school, but by, maybe law enforcement, something bad happened. So again, just imagine, you see a kid creeping around your backyard, it looks like he's carrying a weapon, you're going to call police, right? That's the kind of thing that happens. We've had kids hit by cars. We've had, kids harassed and bullied because of their behavior in the game. So again, please don't play this game. Talking again, Orbeez seems to be the hot toy right now. It is a cool looking multi-painted toy gun that shoots these little gel balls. Sometimes you can soften them by putting them in water. Sometimes you leave them and they get hard, and it makes it kind of makes it a little bit more painful to get shot with. These are not allowed on campus, nor are water pistols or any kind of fake weapons. If we start seeing kids, and we've seen kids, we've given lots of warnings out, we're going to start giving out some more serious consequences. So please don't buy this as a gift for your students for Christmas, or or Hanukkah. If you do, please make sure they don't take it to school. They can use it somewhere else, but not here. So again, water guns, toys, not allowed. And again, part of the reason this is a big issue is school shootings, right? I mean, that's a big worry on our mind. So I'm not sure why this game is so popular when people are so concerned about school shootings, and why they think, oh, I can bring a toy gun to school, that's okay. None of that stuff. So again, please, help us keep the campus safe. Help us, educate the kids in terms of what's, a better way to play some sort of a game, but not this game. So I appreciate your help on this one, and hope we don't have to deal with this one anymore this year. Traffic reminders. So just a couple things, there's some rain out there in the forecast, so please make sure you're being careful. Please know that typically when it rains, administrators are not outside. We're usually inside, because we open up spaces for kids to be, and we have to supervise those areas. So we may focus more on the interior than the exterior, so we may not be out there. So just, again, extra caution as you're going around there. And we are still seeing tons and tons of people dropping their kids off on Homestead Avenue. Please don't do that. That is dangerous. That is illegal. And we don't want that to happen. And it actually causes some traffic jams too at times. I want to give a quick update about some construction that's happening over the break. It should not affect school, but during the break, but when we leave on December 23rd and come back on January 9th, that the construction crew that's doing the work on the B building has to go into the ground at the Horseshoe, and they're going to be closing that whole thing off. There's going to be no access there. They have to connect some underground water pipes and electrical stuff, and so that's not a good place to be. Even if you're dropping your kid off for practice or for, you know, whatever, because even though we're closed, sometimes there's some things going on during the break. Again, please avoid that area during that time. So but it should be back up by the time we come back to school. Coming down to important dates, there's not very many more left here in the end of the semester, as we said. So next week we have an advisory. Our ASB committee is doing, our Zero Waste committee is doing an advisory for us. This is a student designed and led one, so we're excited to see that. We have our event Winter Study Land on Monday the 12th. You may have seen some ads about this and your students have been hearing about it, but it is a chance for students to come to the library that night. There's going to be a little club action before where people are going to have some club and grub, which is a little event they like to do where they promote their clubs and they sell food and that kind of stuff. And then after that, we're going to do a study hall. So kind of trying to make a fun study hall, but also give some kids some opportunity to work with some tutors, with some staff members, and as well as just a chance to study and maybe do so in a fun kind of way. Our Blacklight Rally is coming up on the 16th. That's our traditional end of the first semester. It's a lot of fun. And then we have finals starting the week of the 19th. And because the last day of the semester for students is the 22nd. Teachers do come to work on the 23rd, but you guys get to sleep in that day. And then we have our semester break from the 23rd to the 8th. And then, as I said, first day coming back to school is the 9th. And our winter formal, as people have been asking about before, is there. And again, tons of activities happening. Our winter sports are starting to go. We got all these music and choir fest coming up. We have all kinds of fun stuff happening. So please check the calendars for that. So looking forward to having a great end of the first semester here. So please have a great weekend. Hope your holidays are starting off in a wonderful way. Hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we will see you next week. I hopefully have some guest stars next week. So stay tuned for that one. Take care. Have a good one.